Okay, good evening, everyone. If you can hear me out there, just give me a thumbs up. Great, great. I am Julius Spain, President of the Arlington Branch NAACP, and I want to welcome each and every one of you to our February 2021 General Membership Meeting, which you know here in Arlington, we open our meetings up to the public. With that being said, is Ms. Rosa Dunkley on the line? Or Roy? If you are, please unmute yourself.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Rosa Dunkley. Would you mind opening us up with a word of prayer, please?
Dear Heavenly Father, we come tonight to say thank you, Lord God, for another day. Thank you, Father God, for allowing us to be able to meet God. So, Father God, there's much work to be done. So, Father God, if you be the head, we'll continue to do the work that you have given unto us. This is my prayer in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Sister Rosa, for that. We are going to, as we've done in the past, we're going to suspend the rules so we don't go as outlined in the Constitution of the for the NAACP, because we have our set agenda. So I'm going to ask for suspension of the rules. Any member can make forth that motion.
I move for suspension of the rules.
Thank you, Mr. Jeter. Mr. Jeter has moved. Who seconded that?
Jesse Porter, second.
Thank you, Mr. Porter. It's been moved and properly seconded. We're going to suspend the rules and go with said agenda for this meeting. All in favor say aye.
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 All opposed have the same right. Ayes have it, motion carried. Thank you very much. So you should have this afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, received a copy of the agenda. Our members should have received a full agenda, which included some reports from our committees and some additional information as it relates to our financials. If you are a non-member, you should have still received a copy of the report, of the agenda, excuse me. If you registered, if you did not register, then you perhaps did not receive one, but that doesn't mean you cannot receive a copy of what we're talking about tonight. What we are doing, we do not take our meetings and spend countless minutes going over committee items and agenda items, whatever. We kind of stick to some substantive issues as laid out. And I think it's very important, like this one, that we're going to bring forth 3 dynamic speakers to kind of give us their perspective, whereas that's coming from the Chief Diversity Office there in the Commonwealth with Dr. Underwood. We're going to have Delegate Jay Jones come in and say a few words. And then, you know, a good friend of mine from down in South Carolina, Ms. Marilyn Hemingway, is with us to, you know, it's Black History Month, y'all. So many of y'all heard about Geechee, but she's a historian, founder of the Chamber of Commerce down there in Georgetown, South Carolina. She's going to give us a little tidbit on Gullah Geechee and what that means and some of the history. So stay tuned for that. Madam Secretary, could you make a quick roll call? I know a lot of people are still getting on. I will take over and people are coming in. I'll let them in the room. But could you just make a quick roll call of the officers?
Sure.
Thank you.
When I call your name, just acknowledge by saying present. First Vice President Kent Carter.
Present.
Second Vice President Sharice Kearns. Second Vice President Sharice Kearns. Third Vice President Michael Heminger.
Present.
Treasurer Roy Austin. Treasurer Roy Austin. Assistant Treasurer Adriana Spain.
Present.
Assistant Secretary Dominique Jenkins.
Present.
Executive Committee at Large Karen Nightingale.
Present.
Executive Committee at Large James Younger.
Present.
Executive Committee at Large Simone Walker. Executive Committee at Large Simone Walker. At Large Member Carolyn Kane. At Large Member Carolyn Kane. And I'm the Secretary, Wanda Younger.
Thank you, Madam Secretary, for that quick roll call of our officers. Just to let everyone know, I'm probably burning out the officers because we had an executive committee yesterday, which everyone was on the line. As you know, people about Zoom, Microsoft Teams, and just virtualed out. I'm sure the members, our elected leaders will be on this call shortly. But for those that are here now, thank you once again. Looking at our agenda, sticking with it. A few remarks before I turn it over to the second vice, the first vice, the second vice, and the third vice. As you know, your branch of the NAACP has been on the battlefield, right, for social justice advocacy. I am pleased, right now with the report coming out from the PPG. We know that was a 7-month process, but our first vice president is going to talk a little bit more about that. But there's more work to do there. Trust and believe that. Just some background on the Darrell Becton case. You may know the individual that died in the custody of the police here in Arlington Detention Facility on 1 October. We're still working with that issue on that issue. To date, no one knows the cause of death, right? That's still alarming. In the past 2 weeks, I, along with the executive committee of the Arlington branch, had a meeting with the Office of the Attorney General, Mark Herring, not him himself, but some representatives there to tell them about the situation, get them up to speed, and get some ideas on the way ahead. What we're being told is that it's, ultimately it's up to the medical examiner. The report is still ongoing, but, put yourself in that situation, a loved one of yours. Here it is, February 22nd, and no one knows the cause of death. That's alarming to me. We have to do a better job, even with COVID. So listen, we have the racial profiling case that's recently occurred here in South Arlington with one Mr. Crutchfield. So we're still following that closely. More to follow. I think Mr. Crutchfield has retained counsel, so we are limited in what we can say at this moment. I still strongly believe that he was racially profiled, and we can talk about that at another time. We are going to move over to our first vice president, Mr. Kent Carter, because God bless him. He sat on that PPG for 7 months, and we just got off of it. So Kent, can you give us a quick 1-minute update, and then we're going to shift. We're at 7:07 right now. We have the delegate coming on at 7:15.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. President. Can everyone hear me? Can you hear me? Good. Okay. Well, yeah, thank you. Welcome, everyone, again. Yeah, like the president said, set on the, let's see, you still hear me? Set on the PPG for 7 months. This past the 15th, the county manager presented, was presented with the official findings from the entire PPG group. So I'm going to put in the link to the county website where you guys can view the entire PPG report, as well as the external assessment. Just a few highlights of the report. Let me see here. I'm going to give those to you. It's important. Obviously, the creation of a civilian review board, that was one of our big key components of that. That a hybrid model was suggested to the county, so they're still trying to hash all that out. The police role in traffic enforcement was another major recommendation that came out. It focused on traffic data as well as enforcement policy. The police role in providing mental health services, that was another hot button issue. The recommendations looked at both the crisis and mental health services as well as proactive mental health services throughout the county. And then the last one was the alternative dispute resolution, ADR. Those recommendations were kind of timely because that ties into the racial profile incident that happened a few months ago. So glad that that came out. And then finally, the external assessment was conducted by an outside agency, third party, law enforcement expert. They looked at all the policies and procedures of the police department and the county related to criminal justice and all these different topics, as well as the internal affairs investigations and mostly data driven. So that was an important part of it as well. So with that, Mr. President, I'll yield back my time. I appreciate everyone tonight. And with that, actually, let me go ahead and give it over to, I think he was pivoting, so let me give it over to the second vice president. Is she on? And if not, the third vice president, I think Michael Hemminger is on.
Yes, hi, this is
Oh, you are.
Sharice.
Hey, Sharice.
I'm here and I'm sorry I got here a little bit late. I'm transitioning from work. What am I doing? Good evening, everybody. It's good to be here and welcome. What am I doing? I'm sorry, Kent.
That's okay. We're just giving a chance for the vice presidents to give a minute overview of anything that you wanted to relay and welcome everyone to the meeting.
Welcome everyone to the meeting. I don't have anything really specific to relay. I mean, we'll probably just touch on a couple of things from the Education Committee perspective when that time comes. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Second Vice President. Mr. Third Vice President, Michael Hemminger, are you on?
I am. Good evening, everybody. I just very quickly want to highlight that there's a lot going on with housing. The county is in the process of approving the Fair Housing Plan as well as the Missing Middle Study. I just want to encourage all the members of the branch, all the guests that are on tonight to participate in that study. And then just lastly, the county is in the process of releasing their budget. It's very important for everyone to also weigh in and to be knowledgeable about what's in that budget. Thank you, Mr. Vice President.
Thank you, Mr. Third VP. And with that, Mr. President, back over to you.
Well, thank you, Mr. First VP. We're a little bit ahead of schedule, and that's great. At this time, Madam Secretary, is Delegate the Honorable Jay Jones on the line?
I'm here.
Great. Good to see you hear from you, Jay.
Hey, man, how are you?
Great. We're going to go ahead and turn this over for everyone who's on the call. Just keep in mind, I know Jay knows this. The NAACP is a nonpartisan 501c3 social justice advocacy organization. We do not endorse political candidates. But you know, Delegate Jones has been around for a while. He does have a message for us today, and even at the same time, he's running for the office of Attorney General. He asked if he can come to our meeting, and we don't turn anyone away. So he has 5 minutes today just to speak with us. So Delegate Jay Jones, my good friend down in the Tidewater area, the floor is yours.
Well, thank you, JD. It's good to see you, and it's good to be with the Arlington NAACP tonight. You know, look, I don't want to take up too much of your time. I know you guys have a lot going on, and 5 minutes does go by very quickly. For those of you guys who don't know me, my name is Jay Jones. I'm the delegate for the 89th District in the Virginia House at the moment, but I'm also seeking the Democratic nomination for Attorney General in the primary in June. And so I talk a lot about my family as I do these things because family is the most important thing to me, and family is what drives my story. I'm very fortunate to be able to trace my family lineage back 5 generations to slaves in the American South on both sides of my family, including one side in Virginia. And I often think about what my ancestors would say about their descendant who has the opportunity to be the first Black AG in Virginia's history. My grandfather, Hillary H. Jones Jr., was a civil rights attorney in Norfolk in the 50s and 60s. He had my dad and my uncle integrate an elementary school in Norfolk, Ingleside Elementary, which I drive by pretty regularly still to this day. And so it is never lost on me the shoulders that we stand on. And as we rise to meet this moment in 2021, after we've seen all the things that have happened in 2020 and before that even, we have a chance to really rewrite our story. And with Donald Trump being out of the Oval Office, finally, we've closed that chapter and Virginia gets to pick up the pen and start anew. And we have an opportunity here in the 2021 elections to elect different faces, fresh perspectives, new ideas, and I believe I'm part of that. We now get to focus on Virginia. We don't have to worry about what's happening in Washington, and we can prioritize justice reform, something that I've been working on tirelessly for the last 4 years in the Virginia House and will continue to do so as Attorney General. I feel very strongly that we have a chance to put someone in the AG's office who looks like what we are and what that system has oppressed for so long. I think lived experiences are very, very important. Energy and the environment, something that's very important to the folks all across Virginia. I've been one of the most vocal critics of Dominion Energy and their utility monopoly because I believe that we need to have a fair deal as opposed to a raw deal. And I will continue to be on them each and every day as Attorney General. And then workers' rights. Labor is a priority for me. Instances of wage theft and worker misclass, it's my understanding there are dozens and dozens and dozens of cases sitting on desks in the AG's office collecting dust. And to me, that's unconscionable. We say we're the best state for business, but that doesn't mean a thing if we're not the best state with a wonderful workforce as well. And they need to feel protected, and they need to feel like we are working on their behalf. And so it's never lost on me, the things that we're doing each and every day. And the fact that now Virginia has a chance to reorient itself, and it won't be easy. It's like turning an aircraft carrier around in the middle of the ocean, but this is our time to rise to meet the moment. My view and my strong feeling is that Virginia has a chance to pick up this pen and really chart a new course going ahead with leaders who are different. I'm young, and I saw someone just put in the chat, what is my educational history? I actually went to the College of William and Mary for undergrad, and I went to the University of Virginia for law school. I'm a practicing trial attorney down in the Hampton Roads area. So I'm in the courtroom 3 or 4 days a week, and I know that that will lend itself well to the AG's office as a zealous advocate for the people. Oh, I'm sorry, Simone, I misread your question. But I will say that one of the other things that's really important to me is to make sure that we are taking this office to the people. We are meeting them where they are. We can't understand the struggles of each and every Virginian unless we are going to see them in their communities. So tomorrow you'll see us put out a plan to open up a set of robust field and satellite offices all across the state. As Attorney General, we will go visit all 99 cities and counties. We're doing that as a candidate. But as AG, we're going to go see people, and we're going to go meet them in their communities to understand their struggles, to understand their challenges, to understand what we can do to help them. It is one thing to stay cloistered away in Richmond, but we want to go and take the show on the road to the forgotten places, the places that feel as if they've been left behind. That's what's important to me. So I'm asking for your support in the June 8th primary. I know the NAACP is not partisan as an organization,
talk now.
Oh yeah, but look, we I think I might be running out of time, but I hope I can
I'm not. I don't have my picture. I don't have my video.
And I really appreciate JD. I don't know if you're muted or not. And I really appreciate you guys giving me some time tonight. My aide has dropped some information in the chat if you guys would like to know a little bit more about me, about joining our campaign, about helping us out. And I really appreciate it. And everybody, please go get vaccinated as soon as you're able. That's what's going to allow us to get back to normal so I can see you guys in person as soon as possible. So thanks. Everybody stay well and be blessed tonight, and have a great meeting.
Well, thank you, Delegate Jay Jones, for those words. And best of luck out there on the campaign trail. Before I turn it over to the third vice president, who has the duty tonight to introduce a young lady from Richmond, Dr. Janice Underwood, I do want to make mention of a few things here that you should have received in your packet, because we like to talk about all the good things, right? Not just the bad things and the deaths and COVID and the health disparities, which are shaking our nation, more especially Arlington. Since our last meeting, to everyone who's on this call, we have gained 33 new members, 33 new members, and a couple civil life members. I see you, Matt Clapman. That's great. So that puts our total membership as of this morning, thank you, membership team, to 756 active members in the branch, paid members. That is, kudos to everyone. And another thing real quick, our financials, you should have received that. We're looking pretty good. We actually received a donation since we last met from Mount Zion Church. I want to recognize Mount Zion. Hey, you see you, Jesse, and Pastor, the good pastor over there, blanking out right now. Yeah, but we know who we're talking about. The financials we're well. $221,826 is in the kitty right now. The treasurer, assistant treasurer, and the team, executive committee looked at our financials yesterday. We're in pretty good shape. A lot of that money, as many of you know, is going towards our scholarship program this year, where 5 students will be identified, and each one of those students will receive $10,000 each for up to 4 years. So a total of $40,000. Thanks to Amazon, thanks to their outreach team, thanks to the Britton Foundation, thanks to philanthropists, those and many of you that have just donated to the Arlington branch, and to our newly formed scholarship committee, where past president Karen Nightingale, who's now at-large executive committee member, Ms. Adora Williams, who's a Silver Life member, and Ms. Jill DeWitt are our co-chairs, and they are working behind the scenes diligently to revamp our program, and we look forward to the good work here very soon. That being said, Mr. Third Vice President, Michael Hemingway, I'm going to turn it over to you to introduce Ms. Underwood. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. President. What a privilege it is to introduce introduce to everyone Dr. Underwood, who strongly believes in servant leadership and culturally relevant reform. Dr. Underwood was appointed by Governor Northam as the Commonwealth of Virginia's first cabinet-level Chief Diversity Officer. This position is also the first of its kind in our nation. Dr. Underwood was named one of 20 Agents of Change in 2020 by the Virginia Museum of History and Culture. As a national expert in diversity with a strategic plan for reconciliation across multiple sectors, Dr. Underwood has more than 25 years of public service. Dr. Underwood has championed to make systemic inequity visible in government and education sectors as a state official, a university administrator, teacher educator, researcher, a national board certified teacher, and a diversity trainer. Dr. Underwood collaboratively labors towards building affirming work, learning, economic, and social environments for the Commonwealth of Virginia as a roadmap for continued access and success for the state, other states, and our nation. Mr. President, distinguished guests, and members of the branch, it's my great honor to introduce to you Dr. Underwood.
Thank you so much, Michael, for that kind introduction. And hello, President Spain and all of the officers of the Arlington NAACP. Just want to say thank you for the invitation as well to come by and just have a chat. I was asked to talk a little bit about my office, and this brand new office, as was mentioned, is the first of its kind in state government. I'm not the first Chief Diversity Officer in the nation, but I'm the first one to serve a governor in the nation. And I'm excited to share with you that I am not the last and won't be the last, because the good news is in 2020, this position has been codified and is now a permanent position for all future governors, not just the 73rd governor, my boss, Governor Northam, but it will be incumbent upon every future governor, 74 and beyond, to name a cabinet level Chief Diversity Officer. And I'd just like to mention why that's important and what you can do about it. Just like we removed more than 100 instances of racist language in our Virginia Code last session in 2020, a governor or a General Assembly that does not believe in diversity, equity, and inclusion could introduce legislation that removes this position legislatively from the code. So it's really going to be incumbent upon all of us, everyone on this call, everyone in the NAACP, and all Virginians who believe in making Virginia an inclusive state, to truly, truly, truly champion this office, because my one job is to serve the 8.5 million Virginians who represent all dimensions of diversity. So even after I stop this chat and jump off this Zoom, when I'm no longer the Commonwealth's Chief Diversity Officer and you have the next one, I'm just going to ask that you continue to contact your legislators on both sides of the aisle, all around Virginia, to say we support this office, because inequity has had a 401-year head start. And I guarantee you that we're just getting started. So in 2019, the Governor Northam, created the Virginia Office of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion. As I mentioned, it was codified by House Bill 394, and some links will be put in the chat so that you can learn about my office. But I'd just like to share that the purpose of the office is to really think about legislation, leaders, and logistics. And that's usually how I usually couch it. But the shared goal of the ODEI, as we call it, Office of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion, is to develop Virginia into an inclusive state where all people can live, learn, work, visit, raise a family, and just thrive. The purpose of the office comes almost verbatim from the Virginia Code. It's first of all to create a statewide assessment to evaluate inequity in formal and informal systems, processes, with leaders, legislation, and as I mentioned, overall logistics. But what we know is that structural racism is no longer codified with Jim Crow, but it's a little more cunning. And I often call it James Crow Esquire, as many others I know do. And so we can't quite put our finger on it. We can't quite call it, but as I talk to students and Virginians all over our state, they say, you know, no one's called me the N-word and nobody's burning a cross in my yard. And in some cases, we have a history of that in the Jim Crow area. But they would say, Dr. Underwood, something, it just doesn't feel right. I don't feel welcome in this particular location, or I don't feel as though I'm being allowed or expected to participate. And so because of that, Governor Northam said, not only do I want you to assess our state government, which has already begun happening, I want you to develop a sustainable framework. And when I hear develop a sustainable framework, I hear a strategic plan to advance not only racial equity, but inclusive excellence more broadly across more than 100 state agencies. And those agencies or organizations that are state supported with our tax dollars, that may not be a full state agency, but we support them with our tax dollars. And therefore we have an expectation for them to advance diversity, equity, and inclusion. And then the fourth goal of my office is to engage with stakeholders such as yourself, is really to engage with diverse residents all over the state to establish and increase conversations about inclusive excellence. Those are the four major areas or purposes of the Office of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion. Never before in state history have we literally had a mechanism to help our legislators, all 140, whoever's willing to talk with me, I'm willing to talk to just about anyone, to say, as we think about legislation, as we think about the work that we're doing, can we look at it with an equity lens? Can we identify unintended equity implications that may happen because we passed this legislation or that legislation? So I'm constantly reviewing legislation for not only our legislators, but all secretariats, all the cabinet level secretaries and agencies that are advancing bills and possible proposals. I'm looking at and I'm talking with all of our cabinet members to say, what are the unintended consequences if this should pass? And retroactively saying, what are the unintended consequences that have happened because something has already passed? So that's legislation. Leaders, as we think about and look at the diversity of our leadership in our state government, as you know, we lack diversity at the highest levels of leadership. And so I have been on a crusade to get more people of color and of many dimensions of diversity at our top posts, not only in our cabinet, but also across our state agencies. As I did an assessment, I noticed that among appointed officials, there was very little diversity in the Black community, but even less in our Latino community, and almost virtually non-existent in our Native American community and Asian community. So I'm working to think about how can we diversify state government, particularly the governor's office. The next thing I just want to share with you is that all this work, this office came about and then COVID hit. And so as a result of COVID, a lot of the work that we began pre-COVID was paused. And I have provided thought leadership to the cabinet, in particular with regard to how do we build equity into our COVID-19 unified command in our recovery and response. And so with regard to testing and PPE distribution, and now as we turn towards vaccinations, I lead the health equity team that is really thinking about and reevaluating, for example, the CDC recommendations for equity in terms of vaccine allocations? How can we possibly create a community-centered vaccination events? How can we think about our communications around, excuse me, vaccinations? So all of this is happening in real time. I'm trying to look at the questions as we go. Are you there?
Yeah, I think we lost you for a second, your video, but you're good. Go ahead.
Okay. So this is the Virginia Office of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion, and we're just getting started. We did bring on a full team. My apologies, I've been talking all day, President Spain.
Well, I don't know whether you've been talking all day or just, the Arlington NAACP here, the living with side of it. Come on, let's go.
No, y'all have me choked up.
No,
But
we
do have a full team, and we just announced that team. We have a lead deputy. Her name is Alacia Hackett. We have also a lead senior policy advisor. She's a Deputy Chief Diversity Officer, Mona Siddiqui, who heads up our Office of New Americans, where we are literally championing immigration rights as only the first or the 10th state to have a statewide Office of New Americans, and are providing thought leadership to the Biden administration as part of those 10 states on how do we pass comprehensive immigration reform. We also have Michaela Swan, who I believe is on with us tonight from my office. She's the executive administrator, and just recently hired Ms. Kimberly Kane as the special advisor to the Chief Diversity Officer. We know this work has to be budgeted. We know that this is not a one-person job, that it's going to take a team. And we are, like I said, just getting started. And as we think about expanding, one of the questions that the Arlington branch asked me is, how can you all get involved? What legislation are we championing? And how can you be a support? Well, the first thing I want to share with you is House Bill 1993 mandates that all state agencies create a diversity, equity, and inclusion plan. This has never happened before, not only in the Commonwealth of Virginia, but no state has required all state agencies to measure and track progress with these issues. Virginia just passed this in our House and Senate on Friday. This is monumental. And so I ask you all to check out House Bill 1993 and really think about how we're moving DEI forward in a way that no one else has. We are literally trailblazing this, because what I know for sure is you can't change what you don't measure, and you can't measure that which you don't acknowledge. And racism and all other forms of oppression that have been birthed because of structural racism, now we can put our finger on it, and it's not so nebulous. We can begin to measure the very things that have allowed to just go unnoticed. And I'll just also share that I know that there's an electorate who wants to return to ignoring white supremacy in plain sight, but I promise you the Virginia Office of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion, while it's under my leadership, will not allow that. Now, I'll be honest with you, there's some limitations to my office. My office is not an office where we can come to an organization or a state agency and offer racial equity training or implicit bias training. My office is about interrupting systems of inequity. And so while there is a process by which state employees can identify complaints or suggest that they've been mistreated or share that, you know, they've been discriminated against, that is not the purpose of my office. And so I often like to talk about what my office is and what it isn't. And the reason I do this is because you have to manage, you know, expectations, right? And so as Michael was introducing me, he was talking about the intersectionality of who I've been on this long journey to become the nation's first chief diversity officer in state government to serve a governor. I didn't just get here overnight. I put in the work. I myself have been discriminated against. I myself have been part of the struggle with regard to advancing racial equity. The stories are horrendous that I've had to deal with personally and with my family. And so I'm just here to stop by and tell you the office is not about, and we are not equipped to necessarily deal with state employee complaints. But what we can do is go in and look at all those state agencies that have complaints and demand change in terms of their structural makeup, in terms of some of the practices, formal and informal, that they do. And so that's where we can affect change and be extremely helpful. So there's a question in the chat about, says VDOE equals state agency. Yes, the Virginia Department of Education, Ms. Kearns, is a state agency, but I'm not sure of the question, and perhaps we can get back to the questions in just a moment. But I wanted to share a little bit about how you can get involved. You can begin to share the work about House Bill 1993. As a result, my office has created, with the help of a volunteer steering committee, the One Virginia Plan. And so we will be announcing and putting on our website this week all of the resources that any organization can use to create their own DEI plan. And so that's exciting. Many of our organizations, corporate, not state government, public and private, corporate, nonprofit, K-12, local government, have begun to sign on to the One Virginia Plan. So if you want your local government to sign on to the One Virginia Plan, make sure they know about it. We're trying to get the word out to all 133 localities. Obviously, we don't at the governor's office dictate to local governments and K-12 schools what they need to do in terms of their diversity planning and leadership. But we certainly want to be a thought partner if they want to partner with us and offer it as a suggestion, if not as an option. And many have already signed on. We have 15 state agencies that are already starting the work without House Bill 1993 being passed on Friday and are almost on the finish line. The other exciting thing I should share with you is that, remember I told you about the Health Equity Leadership Team and the Health Equity Working Group that you may have heard about if you've been listening to the governor's press conferences since the beginning of the pandemic. We've partnered with 66 local governments to reform their local unified command towards health equity. We have literally turned our work towards vaccinations now. But what's even more exciting is this Health Equity Working Group, which, by the way, was the first health equity working group at a state. We have 22 other states that have some form of an equity group now. Ours is the first that has been codified. It is a permanent equity working group for every future emergency declaration. We will not see a Katrina in this Commonwealth of Virginia. We wanted to be proactive and say, how can we build community resiliency and engagement so that the disparities that rose to the top that many of us already knew were there, that apparently were shocking to so many across our nation given the pandemic, we want to start building resiliency in communities in a proactive way, not just in a reactive way. And so Senate Bill 1296, which I championed in this office, that creates a permanent equity working group, also passed last week. And that's huge. It is absolutely exciting. It's what I call a hashtag diversity win. So one of the things you can do if you have big things happening in Arlington, put them out on social media with the hashtag diversity wins, because it's a noun and a verb in my mind. And then the last thing is, if you haven't signed up for the governor's press releases, please do so, so that you can stay on top of all the announcements coming out of the governor's office. And maybe even when you go to the governor's website, check out the advisory boards and commissions that you may like to serve on and volunteer on, or better yet, send to a friend who may be interested in state government. We're looking for and starting the Governor's Fellows Program. So get information for the college students in your life and or the young people who would like to intern in the governor's office. That's how we create a pipeline of interested people. When I took a poll of all those working in the governor's office, many of them started out as governor's fellows, and they got in because they knew somebody who knew somebody. We need to start putting in people that we know into these internships and fellowships so that we can begin to diversify the pipeline as well. But for so long, many of us perhaps maybe didn't know about these opportunities. I know I didn't even know about the Senate Page program, but you better believe as soon as I found out about it, I started sending students of color and to guidance counselors all over the Commonwealth, go sign up to be a Senate Page or a House Page. And last year in 2020, before the pandemic, we had our first undocumented student to serve as a Senate Page. And so there are wins happening all over the place. We had the most diverse Senate and House Page class in 2020, but I'm just getting started. I know for a fact, like I mentioned, inequity had a head start, but the One Virginia plan and some of the other things that we're putting into the Virginia Code are the teeth that can bite into the inequity that we all know and see and hear about. But I need your help. I need your thought leadership. I need your support. I need you to bang down these elected officials' doors and say, we want this office to remain for every future governor. It has been codified. We don't want anyone to remove that codification or that permanency. Just like we have a Secretary of Education and a Secretary of Finance and a Secretary of Transportation and Public Safety, you should have a diversity officer at the cabinet level that cuts across all secretariats to make sure inequity is institutionalized, to fight against the inequity that's also been institutionalized. And so with that, I'll just turn it back over to you. Any questions, I'm happy to take them.
Thank you, Dr. Underwood. I think we can go 2 hours with you, and this is just a start. But I have a question, and then I'm going to turn it over to Ms. Simone Walker, who's co-chair of our education committee. And just a little tidbit, our branch of the NAACP was founded in 1940 on the back of education, right? So it's good to hear a little bit about what you said in education, but I want to hear, about your thoughts on what just happened in the Senate as it relates to Thomas Jefferson, the governor's school in Fairfax, right? And how your office is involved in that process, if at all, because there are some disparities there. There's some equity challenges. We all know this, but we also saw what happened on the floor of the Senate a few days ago. So I just want to hear your thoughts on that and what's the way forward with your office.
Well, one thing, the way I'll start my answer is that I work very closely with the Secretary of Education and have been really advocating for diversity in our governor's schools, all of them. What I know for sure is our governor's schools are supported with state dollars. They are public schools, and they're not meant to be relics of massive resistance. And that's what I believe they've become. And so what I have been trying to do is work with the Secretary of Education to think about what guidance does the Virginia Department of Education need to provide to Thomas Jefferson, to Maggie Walker, and quite candidly, to all of our governor schools all over the state. We have satellite governor schools all over the state. And we need to get more information to people like you and me and others that know high achieving students, that that need to be in those schools, right? Because the problem is there's this misnomer that if you're Black and brown, you can't cut it, or you're not smart enough to be in those high performing schools. And we know that that's also a relic of the Jim Crow era, right? That's a relic of American slavery. And so my office has been very intentional with Secretary Carney to hold town halls, to educate people. But what I do believe is that it was devastating what happened on the Senate floor. And I have to also tell you that I'm doing all that I can to advance this work in a transformative way, despite what we saw on the Senate floor. My office is very much plugged in. I speak with all of those elected officials regularly, and we are looking and examining ways to go forward.
Yeah. So, you know, Arlington, Loudoun County, Fairfax, Alexander, we all kind of feed into that school, right? So it's important. All right, we don't have much time, about 4 minutes left in this segment. We're gonna, Simone Walker, Esquire, are you on? You ready for your question?
Yes, I am on. Thank you, Dr. Underwood, for your leadership and for coming on tonight. As you may or may not know, Virginia leads the nation in the school to prison pipeline. Issues such as criminal justice inequity, housing inequity, health inequity, economic inequity, all has a common thread to education, and our students, our Black and brown students in Virginia, are not performing on par with their white and Asian counterparts, and the academic gap has not closed in decades. What is the plan for educational equity in your office? Thank you.
So thank you for the question. Much of the education equity policy comes directly to and through the Virginia Department of Education, and it really remains a local school board issue. But the Virginia Department of Education just recently came out with their ed equity policy. And if I can't get it in the chat before the end of the meeting, I will try to get it to you all and it can be sent out. But here's the sweet spot in my mind. A lot of our school districts don't know how to put this education equity policy in place and make it tangible so that inequity can be made visible. If you can't see it, then it must not exist, and therefore we can't direct dollars and investment to eradicate it. So I really do believe that many of our school divisions could benefit from the One Virginia plan so that they could marry the ed equity policy, but I can't force a local school division to do anything across the 132 we have. But what I can do is offer thought leadership and support. I don't regulate the K-12 sector, but I work, as I mentioned, very closely with Secretary Carney. And then the other thing I'll just mention, Simone, is I know inequity is often invisible. So we have created and will be launching equity dashboards that cut across all the social determinants of health, including things like education and workforce and housing. And so when those dashboards become visible, we will no longer be able to just ignore white supremacy in plain sight. And then policymakers will have a place where they can go, and even all of us, all residents will have a place to go to see exactly where Virginia ranks across all other states with regard to those issues you mentioned about, including education equity.
Thank you, Dr. Underwood. You know, we're right at our stop mark here in this block, this segment of the meeting. We look forward to a collaborative working relationship, not only from the Arlington branch and NAACP and our allies, but as a regional VP for the Virginia State Conference, also at the state conference level, where I know you work closely with DeQuan Love and Rob Barnett and Cynthia Downs and the entire team. So thank you for taking time out of what I know is a very busy schedule to be with us this evening. And you'll be hearing from us soon, especially in the area of education. Thank you. At this time, I'm going to just take a point of privilege, and because I didn't do this last month, and this gentleman has been hard charging supporter. So I'm going to recognize him for a minute. Is the Honorable Patrick Hope on? I know there's been a lot going on. Are you still with us here, sir?
Yes, sir, Mr. President. How are you doing?
Yeah, go ahead. For a minute. I know we're looking, I'm going to speak with the Political Action Committee here. We're going to try to do something next month after session and bring a few legislators in to speak with us about the session. But you have the floor for a minute.
Well, thank you, Mr. President. It's been a long time. It feels like it's been so long since our last meeting. A lot has happened. I mean, a lot of people talk about last session as being historic. I think this year is transformational. And you think of where we've gone from the special session from over the summer to where we are now. Today was just an exhausting, exhilarating day. We repealed the death penalty today in the Commonwealth of Virginia, the first state in the South to do so. We got a deal struck on mandatory minimums and an expungement. And I think those three things, and you throw in the agreement that we've reached and are reaching in legalization of marijuana, this is a big, big year in the General Assembly. And I'm so proud to be part of a caucus, both the House and the Senate, that have led in these areas, being very deliberate and intentional about some of the things that we're doing to make our system more just and more fair. And I think about what Secretary Underwood was talking about, just the intentional actions that we're taking to make our system more just and fair. It's just transformational, and it's just exhausting. But I'm so thrilled with the progress we've made, and more to come.
Thank you, Delegate Hope, for those words. And again, we look forward to having you back for an extended period to talk about the session. At this time, everyone, we had this group in last month. We're going to have them in later on this week at when they speak to the Region 3 North. Mr. Michael Hynes, the Supervisory Special Agent, Training, Recruiting, Outreach for the FBI Field Office. He's with us again tonight, and he had a few words for us. Michael, are you with us?
I'm here, sir. Am I coming in? A thumbs up?
Don't lock me up.
Coming for you, my friend. Yeah, real quick. So a couple minutes here, so I'll adjust my motto to from being long-winded to say less, God bless. But real quick, for those I haven't introduced myself, Michael Hynes. I'm a Supervisory Special Agent in our FBI Washington, D.C. field office. 19 years with FBI, and now I'm in charge of our recruiting program, community outreach, and diversity and inclusion program as well, and training for our folks in our DC office. We do have an Office of Diversity and Inclusion out of our FBI headquarters, although I love that Dr. Underwood, as she so eloquently stressed the equity. We might have to try and steal that if that's not trademarked, ma'am. But so we work very closely with them on a lot of our efforts, but I know I'm just a mid-level manager myself. We're gonna have the big bosses on for the Region 3 chapter region meeting on Thursday night. My assistant director in charge will be there. I just wanted to hop on tonight for 2 or 3 minutes and just really thank you, President Spain, for all your efforts with just kind of keeping and fostering an open dialogue with our office at FBI DC. I've had in my 19 years the privilege, mostly in the past 5 years, to travel around the country to our 56 field offices and train with local state law enforcement to train them on some of our FBI best practices and community policing and information sharing. And one of the things we're really trying to stress from the top levels of the FBI down is just being more proactive in the community, and not only trying to recruit more members that represent the diverse communities that we serve, but just to have more of an open dialogue with different various civic, interfaith, cultural groups to really hear their concerns. And on that note, I mean, you've been such a tremendous advocate. So once a year, we have a special program where our FBI director, Christopher Ray, lets each of our field office select and nominate someone to receive the Director's Community Leadership Award. So on behalf of the FBI Director Ray, I'd like to formally acknowledge you, President Spain, as our 2020 recipient of the FBI Director's Community Leadership Award. If I could get some thumbs up or applause for that on the chat. But What? But just want to thank you, kind of informally before the big bosses do it later. We normally have a big ceremony at FBI headquarters because of COVID. Obviously, that won't happen. We'll invite you for a small ceremony if you want. It's usually a nice crystal award. You can add it to your shelf of Grammys and Emmys. But you've been a tremendous advocate, bringing attention to us about a lot of different, threats or crimes. And our civil rights program, obviously, you've worked very closely with them, and even down to helping us arrange our Black History Month guest speakers. Last year, I know you came and attended, and this year you helped us arrange for Mr. Leon Russell, chairman of your board of directors, on Thursday to speak to all of our FBI employees in DC. So I appreciate that for you. I dropped a link in the chat there about how to contact us for some of our outreach programs. And again, we'll talk more later, but I just want to hop on really just to acknowledge you, sir, and just thank you for speaking and really fostering that open dialogue with us, because it does mean a lot in terms of the community service. So thank you, sir.
Hey, well, thank you, Mike, for those words. And yeah, it was a heavy lift to get the chairman of the board, Mr. Leon Russell himself, but we're going to make that happen. I actually look forward to that event at the headquarters virtually this week. I didn't do this alone. Appreciate the recognition. I know the senior officials will say something also later this week, but the relationship we have right now, we have fostered something here. And regardless of whether I'm in this seat, whoever down the road, I hope that this relationship will continue beyond the time that you and I both serve in these positions. So thank you for what you do out there on the front lines. I know it's not always perfect. There's a lot of room for improvement, but hopefully you'll have our back and we'll have yours. Hopefully we won't have to give the FBI some act right, but we will if we have to, right? But thank you for everything that you do. Appreciate you coming out tonight.
Thank you, sir.
We're right on time. I think we are. If I look at the agenda here, yes, we are. Maybe 2 minutes over. So I have the pleasure of bringing to you tonight a good, all of y'all know I'm from South Carolina. So listen, people be hearing about this. Oh, you Geechee and this and that and go. Guess what I did? I have this young lady, Marilyn Hemingway. Hopefully you did your research on her. She'll talk to you about herself. But she's phenomenal. Down south in South Carolina, I think the Post and Courier out of Columbia just did a big article on her. She is a trailblazer in social justice and environment, you name it. But tonight, we're in Black History Month. I wanted her to come on and talk to us a little bit about Gullah Geechee, the culture, the history, and then whatever else she felt is appropriate. So, Marilyn, are you with us, sister?
I'm here. I'm here.
Oh, snap. There she is. Marilyn, love you. Everything that you're doing down there, especially with my cousin Marvin at Georgetown NAACP. That's just one part of you're involved in so much, and thank you for joining us up here in Virginia tonight. So guess what? There's no slide presentation. I know you can go freestyle. The floor is yours, sister.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. President, and thank you for having me here tonight. I've been looking forward to this and the opportunity to share more about our culture here in South Carolina. I do want to say up front that Virginia is Gullah Geechee too, but let me explain why. So the Gullah Geechee, we are descendants of enslaved Africans and African Americans, and you simply need to just follow the transatlantic slave route from West Africa, and it went to the islands, Barbados, Bermuda, Jamaica. It also went to South America, it went to North America, and it went to England. And basically, we're all cousins. Where did it go in North America? It went to Virginia. It went to North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia, and Florida. And I think what throws people off is the federal government has designated a Gullah Geechee Cultural Heritage Corridor, which is led by a commission, and that covers from Wilmington, North Carolina, all of the coastal counties of South Carolina, all of the coastal counties of Georgia, and into Florida to St. Augustine and Jacksonville, Florida. So when people think Gullah Geechee, they think those 4 states, in particular, they think probably St. Helena Island, Penn Center, and Beaufort, the Sea Islands. But it's all of those states, including Virginia, because what are the Delegates? We are descendants of enslaved Africans and African Americans who during the transatlantic slave route had to figure out how to communicate with each other. So people think of the community, they think of it in terms of the language, but we are more than the language. But first, let's start with the language. What is the language? The language is a conglomeration of African tribal dialects, African tribal languages, English, and Spanish. As a matter of fact, in 1526, the Spanish landed in South Carolina, and they think they landed in Georgetown, South Carolina, which is where I live. In 1526, they brought enslaved Africans, and when they landed here in South Carolina, a great deal of those enslaved Africans actually escaped and ran off into the woods. And it's believed at some point they probably intermingled with the Native American. So now you're bringing in Native American languages also. And then that ship that landed went further south into Beaufort and St. Helena Island areas, and also in Sapelo, Island, Georgia, where it landed again. So there's the Spanish connection. And now you have enslaved Africans who are escaping and they're intermingling with Native American tribes. So now you even have those Native American tribal languages coming in. So not only do you have the language that most people kind of think about in terms, but you also have how do we eat? How do we worship? And if you, I dare say, go to any Black church in America, you are going to see those West African traditions that were brought over those ships into North and South America. And the most obvious thing that you see is the hand clapping and the foot stomping. That is directly tied to West Africa. So how did that get to California? How did that get to New York, Detroit, Chicago, the Midwest? Because the migration that happened. And if those who've probably read Isabel Wilkerson's book about the Great Migration, that tells the Gullah story. Because not only did we migrate off of the plantations after the Civil War, we kept migrating during Jim Crow for opportunity and also to escape violence to New York, the Northeast, Connecticut. I grew up, it was always somebody had family in Connecticut. Connecticut, the Minnesota, Chicago, Detroit. I have family in Detroit. I have family in California, and I have family in Louisiana. Why? Because they migrated from North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia, Florida to better opportunity. And also they went more into Virginia, and then from Virginia, they migrated more. So you could go to almost any Black church, and when you see the way they sing, shout, and praise, that is in West African roots. And we've actually said that if the closest you can get to Africa is you come back home to the low country of South Carolina, and you're going to see Africa, and you're going to hear Africa, and you're going to hear the islands. And some people confuse us. They don't realize I've actually had people come up to me when I'm speaking the language man, that they're like, are you from the islands? I'm not from the islands, but we're all cousins. We are all related. So that's some part of Delegate. How do we eat? If you eat yams, if you eat okra, if you eat watermelon, if you eat rice, that's West African tradition. Because why were the enslaved brought over from West Africa? Because we knew how to grow rice, because we knew how to control the water. And so they didn't just bring slaves over, they brought enslaved engineers, they brought enslaved mathematicians, scientists, linguists. They brought them here because the knowledge that they had on how to grow the rice and how to grow indigo. And that's one thing people don't understand. It was rice and indigo before it was cotton and tobacco. All right. And that's something to be very proud of. But obviously in our history, if you go into our school systems, they really don't talk about it. So when y'all get a chance, y'all come on back home to South Carolina, Georgia, North Carolina, Florida, and come meet your cousins and hang out. But I'm here tonight to represent, and I'm here also not only to talk, but to present questions. So in 2018, why am I also here tonight? In 2018, I founded the Delegate Chamber of Commerce with the mission to raise global awareness, profitability, and sustainability of African-American businesses and other entities within the Gullah community. That's the mission. Our advocacy has always been about the environment, addressing climate change, and education about green renewable energy, because it is all interconnected. And probably one of the most famous products produced by the Gullah community are sweetgrass baskets. So if any of you have ever visited Charleston, around Charleston and in the downtown area, you will see the sweetgrass basket makers. Well, they're impacted by climate change. They're impacted by what we do with the environment, because they actually physically go out to the wetlands, the old rice fields, and they get that sweetgrass basket. They get the sweetgrass, they dry it on the roofs of their home, and then they take it and make the sweetgrass baskets. But because of climate change and the environment, the rising and more frequent king tides, and also overdevelopment, gentrification and overdevelopment, there's some areas we simply can't even go to anymore. They're gated communities, so we can't get to them. And then the areas that we can get to, they're being impacted by climate change because the rising tide is putting salt water into the freshwater areas. And it's in a way, the ocean is taking back what it previously owned, and it's impacting the sweetgrass. So it's impacting us economically. And the sweetgrass baskets, that's just one example of how climate change is is impacting us, excuse me. So when I founded the Delegate Chamber of Commerce, I knew I had to interconnect those issues and educate my community and educate outside of the community about who we are, our connection to the land and the water, and how the environment is impacting us now, how climate change is impacting us now. We're kind of like the canary in the coal mine, because you find us in low-lying areas along the coast, and that is what has been impacted for years, and we're losing our land even as we speak. We also have a problem with heirs property, and I don't know how many of you know heirs property, but heirs property is basically, if you don't leave a will, everyone in your family owns a piece of that land. So over generations, grandparents, great-grandparents had land that they left without leaving a will to their kids, and then to the kids' grandkids, just generations of family. Heirs property in South Carolina in particular, and that's where I'm at, is one person could be paying the taxes, but a developer can come in, buy the third cousin removed who lived in New York and maybe came back home to visit the grandparents during the summer, buy their portion of that land, then force the entire family into the court system in front of a judge, and the judge will determine who owns that land. Now, for historical reasons, the land was left without a will, because in West Africa, that's how people lived. They lived, your parents had their house, and when you married or you got older, you built around your family, the parents' house, and you built out from there. That's how villages were created. Well, it's a West African tradition that people don't realize that was left to us, where there wasn't a need to leave a will. You just knew the family was always going to keep it. But we don't live in West Africa anymore. We live in America. And that has impacted us, where we've lost millions of acres of land since post-Reconstruction, because you see it, developers are just taking the land. But it's based on West African traditions, and we need to understand that history so we can understand the system we work within, live within, and how we maintain our traditions and our history while living in North America in the United States. Probably the most famous example of the heirs property is Hilton Head Island, which was majority Black until the 1950s, when they came in and basically started buying up all the land, and they basically developed Hilton Head Island. And now Blacks, when you see them, there are still Black landowners there, but most Blacks are actually bussed in to work in the hotels and the developments. But that's Gullah Geechee. We are the foundation of the origins of African American history in the United States. We are a global community, and we're found in South America, North America, along the states that I've already listed, in England, and definitely in the islands of Bermuda, Barbados, all the Caribbean islands. Just follow the transatlantic slave route. And we are proud descendants still living along the coast to this day, upholding our languages and our language and our cultural norms. And I'm glad to be here tonight, and I'm open to taking questions, JD. I know I had 20 minutes, so I'm trying to leave enough. I'm trying to leave enough to take some questions.
I know, Marilyn. I've heard you go at it, and I know you too can go. You can go 6 hours straight if need be.
I could. I do a show every Wednesday and Sunday at 4 o'clock, and I just had Dr. Samuel Livingston from Morehouse College, who is Gullah Geechee from Georgetown, South Carolina, speak about the Gullah Geechee origins of African American history. 1526 is the key, and that's where we got started. Love to take some questions.
Yes. So if you're out there and you have a question, I see you clapping hands, Matt. If you have a question, please go ahead and unmute yourself. Again, it's a pleasure to have Marilyn with us tonight. This is we're all family and friends here, so unmute and ask away. I know there's at least one question out of the 118 folks here.
Okay, can you hear me, President?
Okay, Robert, go ahead, Robert. Robert has the floor.
Okay, I'm gonna do it real quick. I'm from Georgetown, South Carolina. My name is Robert Goff, and a couple of things real quick. My wife's sister, her name is Bunny Rodriguez. She had a museum. Miss Hemingway probably know. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah,
she had a museum in Georgetown.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
She had a museum in Georgetown by the name of the Gullah Geechee Museum.
Yep, it's still here in Georgetown, the Gullah Museum. And I want to say Georgetown was the epicenter of the rice culture and the indigo culture because of the rivers. We have 6 rivers in Georgetown County alone.
Right.
And we had over 300 plantations. So we were the epicenter of the rice culture. And if you speak Gullah, if you claim Gullah, you know we are connected to the water, and there's something in the water, wade in the water.
Yep.
You hear it even in our music, our connection to that water. And one thing, everybody speaks Gullah in one way or another, and I'll give you the main reason you speak Gullah. If you've ever sang the song Kumbaya, Kumbaya, my Lord, Kumbaya, you are singing Gullah, because Kumbaya is simply come by here in English.
Oh, I speak it every day because my kids ask me, Daddy, what did you say? And I still love my red rice and sausage. And like I said, my wife is Bunny's sister. And my first cousin is Dr. Norvell Goff, the elder.
Very good. I know the whole family. See? Whole family right there.
Thank you.
I see when we get
meet
to
you.
Georgetown.
Robert,
Okay.
if I may ask, where are you located at now, Robert?
I'm located in Mechanicsville, Virginia. I'm in Hanover County. I'm a member of the Hanover NAACP, and I'm glad I was reminded by my fellow Virginia statesman, Ms. Holly Conrad, to make sure that I get onto this meeting.
Thank you, Robert. Thank you, Robert, for joining us. And y'all stay safe out there in McClellinsville. Anyone else? We have time for one more. Who is that? We had someone else.
Hi, Julius.
Who is that? Oh, that's EJ. I recognize the voice. Where you at, EJ?
Hi, how are you? I am just so happy. I put it in the chat to hear someone talk about the heirs property. As you know, this is something that I put in our economic development statement for the state of Virginia, for the Commonwealth, because for the NAACP, because we have so much property here in Virginia that is heirs property. And if we don't do something, they're going to lose it. And it's something that I also brought up to national. I think we need to work on that. So I commend you, Ms. Hemingway, for really bringing this out there. And I'd love to talk to you more and see how the Chamber of Commerce in Virginia and all of those, how we can work together to get this out there and to start some education of our people about how to maintain and keep their property and not let it go by the wayside. So,
Thank you.
Definitely, Ms. Scott. I just dropped my email in the chat. Please feel free to email me at my Gotta Get You Chamber email. Would love to hear from anyone. So, Ms. Scott, definitely look forward to it. There is actually an heirs property preservation society in Charleston, South Carolina, and that's their mission, is to preserve the heirs property. So they're doing the good work, and I do partner with them on different programming also. So I'll be happy to make that connection. And I do have a website, GottaGetYouChamber.org and GottaGetYouLeadership.org. So please visit my websites also.
Okay,
Thank you,
I
Marilyn.
pulled that up. Julius, I'll get that info from you because I'm on my phone and I can't do it.
Yes, EJ. And for everyone's on the call, EJ is actually a member of the Prince William County NAACP. I believe she's first VP, second VP, but she's also first VP, and she is the chair of our Economic Development Committee for the Virginia State Conference NAACP. Thank you, EJ. More especially Ms. Marilyn Hemingway for being with us. Let's everyone give her a round of applause.
Thank you, everyone. Feel free to contact me anytime.
You know I will.
Have a good evening.
Hey, I'm ready to eat some spots and catfish.
Well, come on home. We'll take care of that.
All right, we are 1 minute behind schedule, but we're going to jump right into the latter part of our agenda, and we're going to do like a quick lightning round. We had an executive committee meeting last night, and we went over a lot, but I want to allow the political action, housing committee, criminal justice, environmental climate justice, religious affairs, economic development, labor and industry, education, and scholarship committee 1 minute. I will say this. If you want to know about what these committees are doing, email us, attend their meetings. I mean, each one of these committees have a stated meeting that they have every month. It's open to members. So we won't use our time here, the hour and a half, to go over everything that the committee is doing. Some of their reports have been shared with you just to give you an idea. So if you find something interesting there and you want to learn more about what's going on, reach out, send us an email. The secretary will let you know when the next meeting or put you in contact with the chair or co-chair. With that being said, Jamie and Megan, are you on? We'll give you a minute. You know how we do.
Yes, sir, we're here. It's a tough spot to follow all these great speakers and big announcements, but I'm excited to tell you what we've been up to. So since we last met, we have published an op-ed on racial disparities in the COVID-19 cases here in Arlington to try to shine some more light on that. For those who aren't aware, Arlington is having a county logo design contest now through March 14th. Our very own President Spain, and now notorious President Spain, is on the logo review panel, so we'll be well represented. And that panel will be providing their recommendations to the county board in June. We continue to advocate during the Virginia legislative session, so please continue your action alerts. If you are not signed up, it is not too late. Jamie dropped a link in the chat, so please sign up. It's a super easy way to contact our legislators about bills that affect or support the NAACP mission. And this is really extra important in these last couple of weeks of the General Assembly. Coming up, we're going to be partnering with Reclaim Our Vote, starting with a postcard campaign next month. So more information to follow on that. We're also going to be participating on a panel on voting rights next month. And we're working on setting our strategic priorities for the next 2 years. So moving forward, the Political Action Committee will be meeting the first Monday of every month from 6:30 to 7:30 p.m. And we'd love to have you join us. Thanks.
Thanks, Megan. Thank you. And keep up the good work, both you and Jamie. Housing Committee, Kellen, are you on? Housing Committee Chair, Kellen and Tim, co-chairs.
Yep. Thanks, JD.
Right. Let's go for it, Kellen.
So the Housing Committee met last week. We're going to start meeting the first Tuesday of every month. And we had a good presentation from the county on missing middle, the rental assistance programs during COVID-19. And we also talked about a brief update about the Fair Housing Plan, which the NAACP had sent a letter to the county about, expressing concerns. So the good news is that the county has pushed back by a year the deadline for completing the Fair Housing Plan to give us more time to work with the community and the NAACP to make significant improvements. At least that is the hope. We're also going to be identifying our priorities for the legislative session for the General Assembly for next year, as well as our legislative priorities for the Arlington County Board, hopefully at our next few meetings. So there's a lot of good stuff happening, and if you guys are interested, please reach out. And again, we meet on the first Tuesday of each month.
Thank you, Kellen, both you and Tim, for your outstanding work. I'm going to jump past the Criminal Justice Committee. We'll hit that another time. We stay on the battlefield for criminal justice. Environmental Climate Justice, Gabrielle Cantor, are you on?
Yes, hello.
Hey, Gabrielle.
Hi, everybody. We are the Environmental and Climate Justice Committee. We met for the second time this year about 2 weeks ago. You can see a short summary of the meeting in the report, but the highlights include the Community Energy Plan Implementation Framework. They've had some comments. We had a meeting with the county, a lot of things going on there. We want to make sure that equity is included in those plans moving forward. We also talked about the tree canopy and how it is affected in specific parts of the county, and maybe some steps forward and what we want to be doing to encourage the county as well as the state legislature to be seeing the low income and historically Black communities as specifically places that we need to be paying attention to the tree canopy. And also talked about the Virginia legislature and how over the course of the next year, we're going to be moving forward and looking into what priorities Arlington and NAACP specifically wants to be pushing at the state level because of things such as the Dillon rule, which affect our ability to change laws in Arlington County.
Thank you, Gabrielle. You're doing outstanding work. And when do you meet, Gabrielle? Let everyone know.
We meet on the first Sunday of every month. Feel free to send me a message if you have questions. If you have an idea, I will, of course, invite you to join us, to share your idea, and to participate in our efforts.
Thank you. Religious Affairs, Pastor Davis, are you still with us? You and Rosa? Hi, Pastor
Yes,
Davis.
I am here this evening. Good evening, everyone. Religious Affairs is a new committee to the Arlington branch, but we are excited about getting to work. Our first meeting will be held on Monday, the 15th from 6 to 7 p.m. by Zoom. If you're interested in being a part, please, you can put it in the chat or send an email to us. We'll make sure that you're included. Over this last month, we have Ms. Rosa has been on the Zoom for the Virginia State Religious Affairs Committee, as well as I've met with the pastors in our area, and we're asking for a representative from each church to be a part of this. So we can not only push the efforts of the NAACP, but we can also make sure our faith communities are encouraging people to vote and giving the proper information as we gain it here. So thank you for the opportunity to serve.
Thank you, Pastor Rosa. You have anything you want to add? Love you too, Rosa. Okay, we're gonna go to economic development. Megan Brew, are you with us?
I am on the line, JD. Thanks so much for the opportunity to speak. My name is Megan Brew, and I have the privilege of chairing the Economic Development Committee. We meet the last Sunday of every month from 7:30 to 8:30. I saw a couple of folks from our committee, Michael, Stephen, on the line. Currently, we are at the beginning of our development as a committee. Really excited to share that our committee members have broken into teams over the past month
to collect feedback from stakeholders across local government, nonprofits, small business owners, and CDFIs to inform our strategic plan for economic development policy support for the coming year. So certainly if you're interested in joining, feel free to drop your information in the chat or feel free to reach out to our branch. Would love to include you on Sunday, as it's going to be a big meeting where we get a lot of great input from the community. Thanks so much, JD.
Thank you, Megan. Shayla and Marvin, are you on the line at all? Shayla and Marvin?
Yeah.
Where you at, Shayla?
I'm here. Can you
All
hear me?
right. Shayla, just briefly tell everyone what's going on this Sunday. Is Marvin here with you? Go ahead, Shayla. You can
Okay.
handle
Hello, everyone. The Black History Month Committee, we finalized a program for everyone to participate this upcoming Sunday from 3 to 4 p.m. We'll have 2 speakers discuss the generational wealth, the history of generational wealth as it deals with housing and banking for Black people in Arlington, and also, or more specifically in Arlington, but I guess we can touch on like some things within the world. But we hope that all of you join. We sent a flyer. I think you sent a flyer on Facebook.
It went up. Yeah, it's out there.
Yeah. So just make sure you register for that, and we hope to see you all soon.
Thanks, Shayla. I know Marvin was on here early. He must have went to 10 with the little one. Is Maya, did Maya come on? Maya, I know she was under the weather. Okay, we'll pass. Let's go right into, I want to save the best for last, right? Our education committee. So I want to hear quickly from the scholarship committee, Adora, Karen, or Jill. Are you on the line?
Sure, I'm here. I'll speak for the group.
Okay.
So we are getting together on the second Thursday of the month, and we would love to have more people join us. We got together and got a bit of a history from Karen about the scholarships that the branch has had ongoing, such as the Britain Scholarship. And we're really thinking through the timeline and how we're going to structure the new scholarships that we have from Amazon. We're revamping the application, so we're working on that now. We could also use help if you have ideas on helping to spread the word to reach as many community partners as possible to get the application out to students. That would be helpful. And then also, if anyone wants to volunteer to help serve as a reader for evaluating the applications when they come in, we'll be working together to come up with a criteria for that.
When is your next meeting?
It's going to be the second Thursday of the month. So that is, sorry, the 11th, March 11th.
Great. Thank you, Jill. And I know Karen and Dora Williams are phenomenal as well. Okay, Education Committee, Simone Walker and Cherie Kearns.
Hi, everyone. We've got a lot going on. I can't pack it all in a minute. I will just say the 3 highlights. On Thursday, we're having an information session for tutors who will be trained in Orton Gillingham structured literacy methodology for our Dyslexic Edge Academy. I will put the flyer in the chat. This week we got out our letter to APS and the school board about our budget priorities for the 2021-2022 school year. And on March the 8th, we will be hosting a community-wide screening of the documentary Push Out, the criminalization of Black girls in schools. So I will put that flyer as well in the chat. And that's all I can pack in right now. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Did I miss anyone? I don't think so. Lightning round real quick. Mr. Third VP, do you have anything for us?
No, sir.
Ms. Second VP, you don't have anything for us?
No, nothing.
Okay, great. First VP, Kent, do you have anything for us?
No, sir.
Thank you very much. All right. Well, it is 8:29 again. more to follow. We're going to be able to do some deep diving in some of these meetings as it relates to some of our committees in the future. Just stand by for that. Next month, we will have our Commonwealth attorney with us. And we will also hopefully have some members from the delegation to come and speak with us about the legislative session. All right. Jam-packed hour and a half. We got it done. I'm going to stick around. It is now 8:29. The meeting is officially adjourned.